Hey, you there! Yes, you! You look like a savvy gamer. How'd you like to get the mobile convenience of a game streaming service like Xbox Game Streaming or Nvidia GeForce Now, but with the added expense of buying the games? Plus, the option to pay for improved performance. You wouldn't? Huh. Well, how about I tell you the 10 best games available on the service before you make up your mind? No? Oh well, fuck you then. Hey, you there! If the concept of Stadia is new to you, let me quickly break it down. Stadia is a game streaming service which allows you to purchase and play games on any compatible device without having to install the games locally. Your games are run on cloud-based computers, meaning you can run high-end PC quality games on devices that normally would be below the system requirements. Stadia offers two levels of service, one free of charge, essentially allowing you access to the service, and a paid pro service that offers higher streaming quality as well as some inclusive games. Unlike Xbox Games Pass, only a small number of games are included, and most have to be bought separately. Unlike GeForce Now, the games you buy are exclusive to your Stadia account and cannot be downloaded and played locally on a gaming PC. So, if all that makes sense and doesn't immediately put you off altogether, here are the top 10 games available as of the end of 2020. Whatever else you could say about West of Loathing, with its simple 2D gameplay and what we'll charitably call a minimalist art style, it doesn't look like it needs a Google server to power it. Described as a slapstick comedy, stick-figure Wild West adventure RPG, gameplay is a pared-down riff on the style of classic JRPGs, but this really just comes as a background to the jokes. West of Loathing is one of the bundled free games with a Stadia Pro subscription, though it can be bought on most online services for about £11, so we're not exactly starting off the list with a resounding endorsement of Stadia's business model. West of Loathing gained a Metascore of 87, an OpenCritic score of 85, resulting in an average score of 86. Far more in line with the kind of AAA experience that phones and low-end computers can't quite replicate on their own, Rise of the Tomb Raider is the second and most highly regarded of the 3 rebooted Tomb Raider games, all of which are now available on Stadia. Even now, 5 years after its release, Rise of the Tomb Raider is a good-looking game, bringing the action set pieces and exotic locales we've come to expect from the series. And as a third-person action game, it doesn't rely on the kind of twitch reflexes that could make streaming a bit of a painful experience. Averaged across Metacritic and OpenCritic, Rise of the Tomb Raider scores 86. I've got to admit, I had to look this one up. Risk of Rain 2, a 3D third-person looter shooter with roguelike randomly generated levels, hit Stadia late last month. Its low detail models and strong, minimalist aesthetic helps make this a smooth experience with seamless level transitions, and the compelling shoot, loot, upgrade, repeat gameplay loop can be shared with up to 3 other players. While not a big AAA title, Risk of Rain 2 is a game with a cult following that could very much be your next addiction. It's earned a score of 86. For those looking for something to do with their new Stadia Pro subscription, the SteamWorld series is a worthy diversion. Like the first SteamWorld Dig, and unlike Heist and the recently released Quest, SteamWorld Dig 2 is a cartoonish, steampunk-themed 2D Metroidvania with exploration achieved through, appropriately enough, digging. This time around, the levels are handcrafted rather than procedurally generated, and character progression comes in an RPG style, whereby you can choose upgrades according to your playstyle. The graphics are beautifully drawn and smoothly animated, and this really feels like the sort of experience that would be at home on a mobile platform. SteamWorld Dig 2 holds a score of 86.5. The Metro series has traditionally been a PC-centered franchise, pushing the envelope of what hardware at the time was capable of. Even this, the remaster of the first game in the series, could still be considered a pretty good-looking game by today's standards, possessing a visual fidelity that mobile games have yet to fully match. Metro 2033 is a story-driven post-apocalyptic FPS set in the ruins of Russia and the network of subways beneath, based on the book series of the same name. While one could argue that first-person shooters aren't an ideal fit for streaming platforms, this one seems like a plausible option. Despite its age, Metro 2033 is still the most well-regarded of the series and holds an impressive score of 87.5. If by this point in the video you're not tired of the sound of my voice, clicking the like button helps me out a ton. If you enjoy my content, click the subscribe button and the notification bell to see more. Cheers! If your idea of a fun time is driving round and round in ridiculously powerful yet lightweight cars, then Codemasters F1 series is the premium way to get that experience. Being the officially licensed game, and with a team of bona fide nerds behind it, F1 2020 is ridiculously in-depth and realistic, while still being accessible enough for non-fanatics to get excited about. Although you probably won't be hooking up a racing wheel kit to your school Chromebook, F1 2020 is a great title for casual gamers looking for a more mature racing experience than, say, Forza, and earns a well-deserved score of 88. I can't help but get a little bit excited when talking about the rebooted Doom games. After the diversion into slower-paced horror in Doom 3, the 2016 reboot rebounded back into a chaotic, fluid action FPS. This year's sequel bolsters the gameplay with more movement options like dash jumps and grappling hooks, reduces the original game's, some might say, over-reliance on triggered set pieces, and builds on the game's already intriguing lore. Doom Eternal is a game that deserves to be played at higher frame rates than an average laptop or phone could natively run, but the lag that playing a streamed game inevitably brings is anathema to most serious FPS gamers. Doom Eternal scores 88.5, but in my opinion, this is not the way to play it. Although the mobile gaming market can provide you with a Souls-like experience, if you're willing to sacrifice some quality and polish, there's nothing more like a FromSoft game than, well, a FromSoft game. Releasing on Stadia later this month, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice brings the grim, high-concept storytelling and challenging gameplay we've come to expect from the team behind Dark Souls, this time in badass-era Japan. On Stadia, this seems like a great fit, as you're as likely to rage quit from your own poor reflexes as you are from streaming lag. Either way, your controller's hitting the floor. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice comes in third place with a score of 89. Another title that isn't going to make Google's supercomputers groan under the weight is this critical darling from indie developer Matt Makes Games. In what is probably a new subgenre, Celeste confronts real personal issues under the guise of a twitchy 2D platformer with stylish pixel art graphics. In an allegory of dealing with mental health issues, players must guide character Madeline up a mountain through a series of perilous obstacles. Gameplay echoes games like Super Meat Boy, and as such present a challenge in themselves, which I can't help but feel would be compounded by streaming latency. Given the low system requirements and the availability on most major platforms, I can't agree that Stadia is the best place to get it. Nevertheless, Celeste is included with the Stadia Pro subscription, and with an overall score of 89.5, it's still the second best game on the platform. Finally, a game in the top 10 that PC owners might struggle with. The 2019 PC release of Red Dead Redemption 2 brought with it a less than optimal experience that many felt was unfairly taxing on PCs, particularly from the engine that had been so flexible in GTA 5. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the epic, story-driven horse opera that fans of the original game have been hoping for, and offers a far more considered experience than the more explosive, slapstick style of GTA. With a good internet connection, and probably some kind of controller, you can have a console-level experience in one of the great games of the modern age. Red Dead Redemption 2 scores 94.5 with the critics, and I can't say Stadia is necessarily a bad place to buy it. But that then begs the question, with even these great titles, is Stadia a good buy? I'll leave reviews of the service to other people, but as an alternative, if you want to see how your existing PC might handle modern games, I've got a video linked above about gaming with 3-generation-old Intel integrated graphics, and another video on gaming with a PC built on a £250 budget. Also consider subscribing, as I'm working on a gaming PC built to an even tighter budget that should be coming in the next few weeks. Kindly do the usual YouTube things if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you next time.